Now, I mentioned earlier forecasting, and the next couple of slides come from CSM Worldwide, which is one of our clients and one of the truly globalized forecasting companies in the auto industry right now. This is an interesting slide because it talks about where things seem to be heading. And basically what it does is it talks about the production, anticipated or projected production standpoint, and it breaks down between what are referred to as developed markets and developing markets. The developing markets being defined in the right-hand inset, and not surprising. What's of particular interest is that in 2008, Hyundai has roughly 36% of its manufacturing capability in developing markets. CSM projects that by the year 2014, 6 years down the road, there's going to be a 16% increase of Hyundai's manufacturing capabilities in, and this slide is a little bit off, that 52 should be behind the tube of Hyundai. I'm not sure why it's reflecting out that way, but trust me, that's it. It's the highest increase of production capability in developing markets of any of the major OEMs. The 16% increase towards localization in developing markets, I think, is quite interesting. And by the way, there's an asterisk down in the lower left-hand corner called added, and that explanatory parenthetical at the top, 2014 vehicle production, I added that, so just for the record. In terms of forecasting, what does this localization mean? What's the impact? Well, the impact from a Korean auto industry standpoint is that there's going to be less exports and more localization. The projected export volumes in the lower left-hand corner of large increase, and decrease talk about where the Korean auto industry anticipates large increases of localized products. I mentioned earlier in regard to the United States, Montgomery and Kia in Georgia and perhaps elsewhere, but it's anticipated that there will be an increase in North America of localization, but look at the other places too. And so the Korean auto industry clearly intends to localize and then to penetrate markets from vehicles manufactured in those markets. So that's one prong of the strategy. The second prong of the strategy has to do with developing and manufacturing global platform vehicles. And what I mean by that is vehicles that are used in other parts of the world as well. The other parts may have different housing, but the platform for the vehicles is identical. And basically what's going on in Korea right now is that there's a conversion from local platforms to global platforms. And what will probably remain in Korea are what I refer to as the higher margin vehicles and the niche products. At least for the moment, a niche product would be a hybrid vehicle, for example, and I think that manufacturing is going to stay in Korea. Of particular interest, GM DAT, which has not completed the transformation from local to global platform vehicles in Korea yet, is projected to have a very, very significant increase of global platform vehicles by the year 2014, as is Renault Samsung, which is projected to manufacture more than 300,000 vehicles. So, where does the Korean auto industry go from here? There are certainly many possibilities. I want to close by sharing just two possible scenarios. As Bernard indicated, as most auto industry experts agree, the major growth market in the foreseeable future is going to be Asia Pacific. And so I want to focus on that. And the two scenarios basically are entitled Economic Sandwich and Economic Hub. In regard to the sandwich theory, we all know the geographic layout of northeastern Asia. South Korea, of course, is relatively speaking, much smaller than several of its neighbors. To its immediate west, is Japan, which, of course, is well established in the auto industry, high-tech, probably the center of the auto industry at the moment. To its north is Russia. As you all know, the Russian auto industry is back up on its feet, and it's going to be a major player going forward, not only in Northeast Asia, but in the world. And obviously there's China. Low-cost manufacturing, unbelievable growth market, and magnet to the automotive world at the moment. In addition, there's India, which is going to become an increasingly important player going forward. What does that mean to Korea? Some people have surmised that given its size and capability, Korea may get squeezed. It finds itself in an economic sandwich and not able to compete with its surrounding neighbors. If the Korean auto industry had done nothing to prepare for what lies ahead, that possibly could have happened. But as I've tried to show so far, that's not what the case is at all. The Korean auto industry has taken steps to prepare for what lies ahead. So let's look through the other end of the telescope. And hypothetically, if you took out a map and you drew a line from Beijing to Tokyo to Shanghai, isn't it interesting that Seoul, South Korea is dead center in the middle of that triangle? And as this particular area of the world gets increasingly important politically, militarily, and from an automotive standpoint, there's Korea right in the middle of the picture. At the same time, there's Lee Myung-bak, a very progressive, very business-oriented president who's taking office. There's the Capital Markets Integration Act, which, like London did in 1986, is aimed at trying to convert the Korean capital markets into the financial capital of Northeast Asia. Some people chuckle. Koreans are determined to make this happen. Will they be successful? Who knows? The strategic alliances that I talked about, not only the traditional Korean automotive manufacturers, but some of the larger automotive manufacturers in the world have strategically allied to use Korea not only as a market but as a base. The transplants and, of course, the other FTAs all combine to suggest that scenario number 2 may be more likely than scenario number 1 in terms of what we see ahead. In conclusion, we're talking about an era of very significant transition. The Korean auto industry, in my opinion, is searching for its right spot. It very much recognizes that this is an industry that has globalized, and it's trying as much as it can to position itself and to prepare for the opportunities that lie ahead. We're, of course, not writing on a blank slate, and all of the discussion about the automotive industry needs to be related back to the reality that it's a globalized industry these days. But the preparation and strategic planning, the local production footprints, which is the localization issue, the slide showed what Korea has done. The domestic production transformed to global platforms. That's what Korea's doing. And of course, the global alliances will accelerate the platform consolidations that occur in Korea. It's a big leap. Koreans are understandably cautious about moving too quickly, but they are exceedingly determined. And for the reasons that I've shared with you in my 25 minutes, overall, I think their chances are very promising. Thank you.
And thanks very much.